Welcome back everyone. Following the NBA draft, the Lakers have been making moves, including the addition of Dalton Knecht and Bronny James to the draft itself, two different two-way contract players, along with now signing three different undrafted players to an Exhibit 10 contract. Now, I already covered the guys they drafted and signed to two-way contracts, but we have yet to talk about their other additions. And while they might not have guaranteed contracts quite yet, it is still pretty noteworthy that they were offered a deal this quickly. I mean, if you look back on recent years, the Lakers have often waited to give out Exhibit 10 contracts, aka a training camp invite. And no, you do not have to offer a Summer League invite a training camp invite, meaning they are pretty high in the three guys that they did offer a contract to. And in my opinion, all three of them are pretty good, with one of them in particular being quite noteworthy, being the first true center they have offered a contract to, and one that was part of a team that made it all the way to the Final Four of March Madness. Apart from all that though, we got another important team update, with that involving impending free agent DAngelo Russell, who according to reports, may be leaning toward opting into his current contract. And we'll talk about both that along with the recent signings they made to their team. But before we get too far into it, if you are looking for a place to talk about the NBA with other fans, or to simply talk about the Lakers, then don't forget to check out our NBA Discord. Or if you don't have Discord, then feel free to follow me on Twitter to hear my thoughts on everything NBA and Lakers related. There will be a link for both of them in the video description down below. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we'll begin by talking about the update on DAngelo Russell. And like I mentioned before, a new report indicates that he could very well be opting into his current contract. And that's coming from Brian Windhorst, who said, quote unquote, "I think there is a chance, a stronger chance that he will opt in, because the market for him is not looking so great right now." And like we have talked about before, the market will ultimately determine what D'Lo does. And as of right now, the market is telling him it might not be a good idea to opt out, with there not being much of a market for him. Other than one team, with that team being the Orlando Magic, there has not been any noteworthy mention of a team having interest in him, or at least offer more than what he could get by opting in, which would be about $19 million. And in my opinion, that would be the ideal scenario for the purple and gold. Simply put, you never want to lose an asset for nothing, and they should definitely be viewing him that way right now too, primarily as a trade asset. I know a lot of fans want to take the emotional route, which has led to many of them wanting him to walk for nothing, but you gotta be smart here if you're the team. D'Lo walking for nothing would mean a near $19 million contract, and not to mention expiring contract being something they can no longer use. And if you're not picking up what I'm putting down here, I'm trying to tell you that if they would want to make a trade, and if D'Lo left for nothing, then they would have to trade guys like Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, and maybe even Jared Vanderbilt instead, who are three of their bigger contracts that would actually have value after D'Lo. And I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather use D'Lo's contract through a trade than doing any of that. They do not appear to have each other in their long-term plans, so they would greatly benefit by trading him over one of their core. Now, I would not be entirely against keeping D'Lo if they put a better fitting team around him, but again, I simply don't think that will be happening. And not only that, but I think it's simply too difficult for them to do that with their current payroll. And with that in mind, they are likely viewing him as a trade chip. I mean, it's not really a bad thing for D'Lo either. If he can't get a better contract elsewhere, then opting in to make $19 million sounds okay to me. And then, more likely than not, he will likely end up with a team that is trying to win through a trade. Maybe through a third or fourth team that will get involved in some kind of trade they make with him. But regardless, I think D'Lo opting in would be the best situation for both parties. And barring a team coming out of nowhere to offer him a big contract, I think that likely will be what ends up happening. Moving on here though, let's talk about the three new additions they made to their training camp roster. And yes, that pretty much does happen to be what an Exhibit 10 contract does. It gives the player an invite to a team's training camp, along with giving them a guaranteed salary as well, being around $50,000 if I remember correctly. And beginning with my favorite one they made, with that being Mohamed Diarra, a 6'10" center out of NC State, one of the Final Four teams in the March Madness tournament, where Mohamed Diarra was able to make a big impact, including him dropping 3 double-doubles in only 5 games, having 42 rebounds in only 5 games, along with being an effective rim protector next to DJ Burns. Now, he might not be a big-time scoring threat, but he really can do a little bit of everything. He can knock down the occasional 3-point shot, is a great rebounder, a really good defender, and then an all-around energy guy too. I've seen a few people comparing him to current Toronto Raptor Chris Boucher, and I don't agree with that comparison too. He is a power forward center hybrid that is quick enough to play at the 4, but also athletic and long enough to play at the 5, with the guy having a monstrous 7'6" wingspan. Yeah, I could hardly believe it too. And don't worry, the guy definitely knows how to use it. The guy averaged about 2 blocks, over 1 steal, and 14 rebounds per 40 minutes, with much of that coming down to his length and athletic ability. And while again, he might not be very refined on offense, I think there is a lot to like here with him. He could already fill a pick and roll lob threat role offensively, although being a switchable rim protector on defense, and then even being able to knock down the occasional 3-point shot, which is really the golden triad for your modern day big. And with that being said, I love the addition of Mohamed Diarra, and if he ends up outplaying Colin Castleton throughout Summer League, then he might even earn himself a 2-way contract with them too. In my opinion, he probably should have been given a 2-way contract by somebody else, but don't get me wrong here, I'm certainly happy they ended up with them. And hopefully Diarra can translate what he did during the NCAA tournament to their Summer League team. Moving on here though, another addition they made happened to be Quincy Olivari, a 5-year college player that played for Xavier, and yet another talented 3-point shooter the Lakers have brought in. Though unlike Dalton Knecht or Blake Hinson, Olivari is 6'2" and a combo guard, not a small forward. But again, he does share their preference for the 3-point line, coming off of shooting 41% from 3 on nearly 8 attempts per game, being right up there with both Knecht and Hinson. And with that in mind, they are going to be a lot of fun to watch during Summer League. They got a ton of 3-point shooting on that team now, having arguably 3 of the best 3-point shooters in the entire draft class, which could really be a treat to watch play out. But even apart from 3-point shooting, Olivari can score from pretty much anywhere on the court. He is a really shifty combo guard, being difficult for defenders to keep up with, and then he absolutely loves to attack drop coverage, having a great mid-range shot to score within that in-between game. And simply put, the guy is scrappy, averaging well over 5 rebounds per game as a 6'2" combo guard, although being a physical defender, and combine that with his 3-point shooting, and that can make him a really intriguing backcourt player to watch out for. But now finishing up with Sean East, who had a really strange college career, playing 1 year at the University of Massachusetts, then transferring to Bradley College, to then playing a year at a junior college, to then finally finishing up with Missouri. A pretty unique journey. But for what they're getting here with him, they have picked up yet another efficient 3-point shooting combo guard, though not quite as good of one compared to the other 3 that they picked up. Now, he may have had a higher 3-point percentage at 45%, but he only took around 3 of them per game, though he obviously did make them at a pretty damn good rate. And unlike Olivari, he is more of a point guard compared to a shooting guard. Not quite a true point guard, but he did average about 4 assists per game during his senior year, and not to mention putting up nearly 18 points per game while doing it, which will likely lead to him being a primary ball handler for them throughout Summer League. But to wrap everything up here though, I really do like the 3 guys that the Lakers picked up here, with that being especially true for Mohamed Diarra, who if you have not picked up on yet, happened to be my favorite addition. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about their 3 new additions? And then what are your thoughts on D'Lo potentially opting into his current contract? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.